Alright, it's the third week in September, and we're going to take a quick look at the main garden this morning. I'm just going to kind of give a view from the inside as well. And you can see that the tomatoes are producing a lot. They're very easy to spot here sometimes. Sometimes they're hidden. And then, yeah, a lot of some of the other things are the squashes are starting to kind of die back. But anyway, let's take a walk around the outside here. So you can see big, huge slicer there. The dimpled skin. Looks like some sort of an heirloom variety. I haven't seen it. It's not a normal one that you see in the store. Lots of these little cherries, tomatoes. That's another one of our varieties. I don't think I've officially figured out what they are. As you can tell on the ground there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 different volunteers. This is all volunteer row here. Got some giant ones and some cherries. And I guess that's it. I picked a bunch of them Friday night. I hadn't picked them for like one whole week. Last week was really cold a few days and rainy, so we didn't get out here and harvest all week. And there were some tomatoes that were a little past due, but not too bad. We were able to get most of them. But anyway, here's our next 5. I still haven't went through to catalog these either. But this guy here is obviously, this one is our currant tomato. The second one is a currant. I believe this first one is a beefsteak. I believe it's beefsteak currant, sweet aroma hybrid, black cherry, and then Roma. But I'm not sure. Because they kind of grow all over. This is a black cherry. So black cherry goes all the way over to here, from here, all the way over to here and beyond. So with this, obviously, it should be pretty clear to see that's a wall of tomatoes. By planting them a foot apart, they completely grown into each other. And it's pretty difficult to figure out who's who. But I can tell you that this is a sweet aroma hybrid just because it's small. And because I didn't really have any other... The aromas that I planted here did not do very well. They were started from seeds that I had kept. There's aroma right there that I had. It's still only a foot and a half. That's it. The rest of these guys obviously are very, very tall. This is 6 feet here, 7 feet. They're all about, I had to kind of top them a bit. It would grow 7, 8 feet. That one, 1 foot. So anyhow, these red currants have been very productive. Thing is, they're quite a pain to pick. Tiny, tiny little fruits. Oh, just knocked them off. As you can see, there's another one. That's split open. But, I mean, that one's not as bad. But these little ones are so tiny. It is just ridiculous. It's so much work for so little versus even a tiny paste tomato is still like a dozen of those. So I don't know if I'm going to plant that variety next year. The black cherry, those ones are pretty good. I like the size of them. They have a sweet flavor. The currants are more of just traditional tomato flavor, but I'd rather have cherry tomatoes that are bigger, in this range instead of these little ones. This is some volunteer, but I want to look a little closer into that and get some little salad cherry tomatoes that are bigger, so we can not take quite so long to pick all of them. Anyway, there's our little volunteer. Looks like another cantaloupe. I don't know where all these cantaloupe came from, these volunteers. But I didn't plant any cantaloupe last year, but I have another volunteer here. And actually a third volunteer here. So must be some neighbor had some cantaloupe and some bird came over and distributed it here. I don't know. But that's the third cantaloupe volunteer that I've had. without growing any cantaloupe anywhere near here. And there's the other one, little bitter melon that we're growing the seeds on is turning yellow. The watermelon is pretty toast here. I just need to come out and basically take the plants all the way out. There's really no point in having them. They're not doing anything. The fruits got the split in them, and basically it's just gross and not really doing anything. So I will just take the fruit off and probably just take the plant out, because there's really no point, because as cold as it is now, there's not that much. We'll be lucky if we have another 4-6 weeks of before frost hits, and the watermelon's not going to grow fruit. Not a vine of this size is definitely not going to grow one. Here's the cantaloupe that we actually planted, and there are tons of cantaloupe all over the place. There's 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. It's just been phenomenally productive. The watermelon here, that I planted from seeds in the store, not that great. One little fruit. One little fruit split in it. So all these plants, watermelon plants, there were 3 fruit, never bigger than a tennis ball, and all developed some sort of problem and never went further than that. Where the cantaloupe that I saved from seed in the store, tremendously productive and huge. So probably won't grow watermelon back here next year. This is the second year I've tried it, and it's been the same kind of results versus the watermelon on this back side of the south side of the house, which has been phenomenally productive. Okay, so then we have our black cherry tomatoes from there growing into here, and then some of our squash, the butternuts still, vines are still okay, so them are kind of crunchy, but we got one big fruit here. That's good. Hopefully it'll be able to get mature enough so we can at least have one. There's one other little fruit just starting now, which probably isn't gonna make it due to the fact of how much longer we have left in the season, but we'll give it a shot. Okay, then on the back side we have more wild tomato and a few little beans. So these are the beans, the long Chinese noodle beans. Some of them we're saving here for seed, and the plants have kind of died back. But here's our beautiful scarlet runner beans, which is what we planted on the front side of the house, but they died when we were gone because it was too hot. Didn't have enough moisture to make it, but they've done much better here, but still haven't produced any beans. Lots of flowers, beautiful little flowers, but no beans. And then our wall of tomatoes, we've got some, this is an Amish paste that I planted here. That was an Amish paste. There's 2 Amish paste here, and a black cherry. Can't really wear my hat back here. So, there's black cherry. So these ones I planted kind of more in sequence instead of a whole bunch of them. So basically, the one on the end there was. So this was the beefsteak. So it's a big round tomato. It's supposed to be a big slicer. None of them gotten that huge, but they're there. And then these next 2 are the currant ones. And as you can see, they have all the tiny little tomatoes. Unfortunately, something's going on here and they're turning yellow and getting crunchy. I'm not sure what that's about, but they're there. And then the next 2, I believe, were the Sweet Aroma Hybrid. They're usually you can tell that because they're smaller. They're definitely a plum shape, but they're smaller in size. And they have very good skin. It's like they're not affected by a lot of the same things as the others. And I think this might be one of the Romas that I had planted from seed. Not sure. And then we have some of our black cherry here. Oh yeah. And then we had, let's see, how many do we have of those? Should have had 2 of those, and then, oh yeah, so these are both the black cherry, and then that there was these Amish paste, which we got from the store. Been very nice. It was good sized pasty tomatoes. Done pretty well. They're not as big as the Romas, but they're very meaty, and so they work out pretty good. Now, okay, so here's the rest of it inside the garden. So you can see, probably a little easier, all the tomatoes, red tomatoes showing out there. So here's our tomato row, which we did with the fence, or basically the stringing, and trying to grow it up that way, the weave type thing. It was quite a challenge, and I definitely don't think I'm going to do it again. This post here had to be supported and anchored there to pull it up, because there's a lot of weight on it with all these tomatoes hanging. These ones I didn't string in time to be up there, so they kind of just laid down. They would not like grow up in there. Those ones did in the beginning, but then I didn't keep up on it and keep everything up, so now they're kind of hanging over. So basically it's been a huge mess, and I don't think I'm going to do it anymore. This part has been, a hot mess. Versus on growing on the fence, obviously you can see it's very nice and